Sorry guys, this thing's been going for like a whole minute and my mic hasn't even been... Hold on, let me make sure I got everything straight. Alright, yeah, so you're probably going to hear some Overwatch music, and I've got Super Mario 64 music playing in the background. So, as you all can see from the title of the video, oh by the way, Happy New Year. I know this has just been out. I've got the soundtracks playing in the background to kind of help set the mood for the video of what I want to talk about today. So as you can see, Happy New Year. I won't say that again. Happy New Year, Happy New Year. Today, this is going to be part 2 of the rant. And today I've actually got some notes jotted down. So this one isn't going to take as long as the first one, but I am going to try to get some things that I feel about Super Mario and some things I want to express. I've got the soundtrack plans. I hope it's not too loud. If it's too loud, then we'll just start over. But yeah, I got soundtracks playing from Super Mario 64 playing, so I know, right? It's kind of like I got soundtracks and I got I got soundtracks playing and I got Overwatch on. So I might do a game of Overwatch at the end of this. We'll see what happens. Probably not though. I'll probably stream it. What I'll probably do is, if I don't stream it today, when I get back, I'll probably stream some Neo and Overwatch. So don't worry. I'll probably do some practice and then I'll stream Overwatch tonight. I'll do that. So basically, today I really want to talk about the NES. I hope you all can hear me too very well. I want to talk about the NES, SNES, Nintendo Entertainment System, Super Nintendo Entertainment System. I want to talk about the Nintendo 64, Super Mario 64. And I want to just talk about the beginning. I really want to focus on just those two consoles, the memories. And by the end of this, I want to talk about the Mario movie in the future and what we can do. What can we hope for out of Mario? Now, so all this can make sense, the whole purpose of this rant, the whole point of this series involving a rant, the whole point of this, oh man, what in the world's going on here? Okay, whoops, sorry, I got a lot going on. The main point of this rant is to really just speculate, talk about the past, but not just live in the past. Talk about the past, but also come to the realization that we live in a different time zone. We live in a different era. We live in a different space. And I know a lot of people are like, what are you talking about? Well, before we get to the main point of this video, I want to just touch on some things that, sorry, music just kind of I don't know what's going on with the music. Me personally, I just, where I am with Mario and with the Mario games, I mean, we still don't have any news or any trailers or footage of the next big 3D Mario game. And that's really where this whole thing started with. But I just didn't want to spend each video and each section each time only talking about 3D Mario. I want to talk about things from the past. I want to talk about my memories of those games. I want to talk about what we could do to make the life better, what we could do to make things more intriguing, and just kind of have a little bit of speculation and opinion based. So I know it's kind of all over the place, and again, I apologize for my opinions being all over the place. But like I said, I have structure, I have notes today. So like I said, this isn't going to be a deep dive. It's just going to be a general, but a little more than general. Like, it's going to be, I don't know how to describe how I'm doing this. So and if you hear the music stop, that's just it being reset. So like I said, I know we're kind of jumping all around. Before we dive in, I just want to say again, you just gotta sometimes just take a seat back. Ugh, stumbling on my words today. Take a seat back and really just remember the good times that you had on the previous games and the previous eras, because maybe looking at the joy from that era will help you to find some joy in this new era. And some people say, well, that's not true, well, that's not possible, you're crazy to think that. Well, I mean, you can say what you want to say, but in my personal opinion, there will never be another game like Super Mario 64. Now, don't count me wrong. I love Sunshine. Galaxy 2 is probably hands down my favorite 3D Mario game of all time. But again, I just don't believe there will ever be anything as innovating, as cheesy, as corny, as creative as Super Mario 64 ever was. And like I said, this isn't a whole documentary of Super Mario 64. This is just a rough around and my rant of how I feel about Mario, diving back into the past and seeing what we could probably predict, speculate, and talk about for the future. But in order to understand where we're going with this Mario journey, to understand where this rant is, and to understand the true purpose of this rant, we have to understand the person that the rant is about. The rant is about Mario. Even though the rant is titled the Super Mario Rant, Super Mario involves Mario. Super Mario deals with Mario. Super Mario engulfs Mario. So that's the point of this rant. It's to just really just look at the past, but also see where we are now and try to make things better. I'm sorry this soundtrack is playing. I hate this soundtrack. Oh my God. I hate that soundtrack so much. Sorry guys, that soundtrack is just awful. That soundtrack's probably gonna play. I'm gonna let the soundtracks just kind of just go. I'm not here to creep anybody out, so before you weirdos think I'm creeping people out, I'm not here to creep anybody out. But I do have Mario 64 soundtracks playing in the background, so hopefully that will elevate this conversation a little bit. Okay. All right, so yeah, understanding where we have been, understanding the past and just looking back at it, and you just have to really just take a moment and just remember your Nintendo 64 era. Remember your NES and SNES. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't have a lot to say about the NES and SNES era because, like I said, I played it as a young child, but I have more fond memories of 64 and up than I do the NES and SNES. Now that doesn't mean I didn't play it. I played a lot of those games, but I grew more of an attachment to Super Mario 64. So we'll get to that momentarily. So, starting this conversation out with the NES and the SNES. Okay, so Mario got his debut in the Donkey Kong game. I don't know if any of you ever played the Donkey Kong game. I can't even think of the name of the Donkey Kong game. I think it was just called Donkey Kong. Sorry, I'm just trying to because I just don't want to hear. I want to hear some soundtracks, but I guess we'll let them all. We'll just let them all play. We'll just let all the themes play because I'm not gonna sit here and keep going down and changing them. So some of you may have played Donkey Kong, where Donkey Kong's throwing the barrels down the ladder and Mario's got to climb up the ladders to reach I guess Paulina or Princess Peach. I don't think she was called Princess Peach then. I might be off there, but anyway, let's get into this so that way this video doesn't go on for an hour and I'm just talking for nothing. Yeah, when the first Mario game, Mario first debuted was in the Donkey Kong game, where you had to climb up the ladder and Donkey Kong was throwing barrels down the ladder and you had to jump over it and climb your way up to the top. And I just got to tell you, from that game itself, that was the first time I saw Donkey Kong, and I just have to tell you, that was a very innovative game to me. Now, we're going back to the 1980s, so we're going back to a really early time period of gaming. So I can't speak too much on the 80s. I can speak a little bit on the 90s. I can't speak too much of the 80s because I wasn't even born in the 80s, so I can't speak on that too much. But I enjoyed the Donkey Kong game. I enjoyed other games of that era too. Like I enjoyed yeah, I was gonna say I'm going down the list now, so let me mark off what I'm doing here so I stay on track. So my thoughts about the Donkey Kong game is, well, the Donkey Kong is where Mario started. It's where Mario got his debut. And I liked it. I think it was a really fun game. It was very annoying. It was very irritating because it was a 2D side scroller. And you guys know I'm not a big fan of 2D side scrollers. I mean, I play them, but I don't love them. I love being able to be in a full 3D open area. I want to be able to move around with my character and stuff. So in a full 360 degrees. But yeah, Donkey Kong, it had good music, it had good levels, and this is where Mario began. And then just a few years after that, or not years, I would say some coming months along, once Mario's evolution grew, we started getting games like Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario World. And we'll talk more about Donkey Kong in a further video when we talk about third-party characters and featured characters, because even though this is a Super Mario rant, this rant is going to talk about things that pertain and deal with Mario in his universe. So Donkey Kong is a part of Mario's universe, regardless of how you look at it and how you look at the continuity. You can tell Donkey Kong is definitely a part of Mario's universe, and he is. If it wasn't for Donkey Kong, we wouldn't have a Mario. If we kind of look at things from a factual standpoint. But that's not why I like Donkey Kong. I like Donkey Kong because he's just got his own good stuff. Like, I think Donkey Kong is just a great character and a great he's just like all his games, all his, like, everything, his 2D, 3D, even though we haven't really gotten too many 3D sorry, I lost track of what I was looking at. Even though we haven't gotten too many 3D games of Donkey Kong, I think I'm just going to pause the music because the music is kind of distracting me a little bit. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to pause the music. Yeah, I think I'm going to pause the music. Hold on, guys. I'll play the music as we get around. Hey. No. Sorry, this thing is just laughing through the music. Okay. All right. I tried the Super Mario music. It didn't work. But I'll play some more as we get closer, as we get deeper into the conversation. I'll play some more. So no, Donkey Kong, the game with Donkey Kong was really, really cool. I mean, me personally, like I said, I'm just not a fan of the left, right, up, down. Like, I like to be able to move in a full 360 degrees with my character. So when I can't do that kind of thing, it frustrates me and it saddens me, because it's just like, I feel like the limitations are just, you know, they're just there. Like, limitations are just blowing me. Like, I feel like I can't do anything. And I feel like I'm limited, and it just annoys me. And I feel like Mario really couldn't touch anything in that game. I mean, I feel like Mario had to do more jumping over the barrels than anything else. And like I said, I mean, it was a puzzle. It was meant to be fun. It was meant to be something cool and innovative. But the Donkey Kong game, I just can't see myself. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you. I did like jumping over the barrels and the little sound effects that they make when you jump over the barrels, and when you jump over two, and you get like a dun 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 dun. Yeah, I like that. I mean, that's cool, you know. But that's a sound to somebody that is far in the retro era of gaming. I mean, I'm talking about, like I said, the 1980s. You know, and I mean, like I said, we're not that far off the game, because I mean, like I said, we had Super Mario Brothers, we had Super Mario World, Super Mario Brothers 1, 2, and 3, Super Mario Brothers The Lost Levels, we had Nintendo Golf, and we're just talking about the Super Nintendo Entertainment System and the Nintendo Entertainment System. We're talking about like both of those as one right now, and Donkey Kong, because it pertains to Donkey Kong. Now, yeah, we had our Zeldas, we had our Metroids, we had our F-Zeros. You know, I'm not saying other people did not matter during that time period. I'm just saying that far as Mario's journey, I mean, Mario had a lot of good stuff. I think Mario even had a Tetris game on the NES. I mean, I can just turn my Switch on right now and just, load up the NES, and I can just look at all the games. But for the sake of this podcast and this conversation. I'm not going to do that. But yeah, no, I mean, I think that Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario World is probably by far the greatest Mario game ever. I mean, Miyamoto's his favorite Mario game is Super Mario World on the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. I think it was Super Nintendo Entertainment System. And I like Super Mario World. I think Super Mario World is a beautiful game. I mean, like I said, again, I'm not a fan of the big 2D side-scrolling adventures, but I have to say Super Mario World definitely deserved props. I mean, I remember countless hours of playing it over and over and over and getting frustrated with the stages, getting frustrated with the maps, and getting frustrated with just falling and just not being able to time things properly. And everybody's like, well, the game was easy and all you had to do was practice. Yeah, I mean, with due time, a good amount of practice can make you good. But you know, I just can't get myself to sit down and practice in those games no more. And I know we talked a little bit about the beginning of Donkey Kong. I'm kind of jumping back to it a little bit, but I'm just giving again my personal opinion just to summarize it and say that that game was Mario's debut. And I didn't really love the game, but I played it and liked it. And then when I got to play it again in Donkey Kong 64, because I don't know if any of you who may be watching this or listening or whatever you're doing, if you have played Donkey Kong 64, there is a level called Frantic Factory. And in Frantic Factory, there is a arcade system. I forget where you go in the level, but there's a level where you can put a token in and you play the game, or not a token, I'm sorry, you pull the lever and I think it's unlocked or something. Anyway, you have to play that game to unlock a rare coin, I believe. And let me just tell you, speaking off of Donkey Kong, NES and SNES era, man, that game is just awful. I cannot play another Donkey Kong game like that on a Nintendo 64 controller. I mean, I need a GameCube controller. I need a Wii controller. I need something. I cannot play it. And everybody's like, the Nintendo 64 was the best controller for that time. No, the best controller for that time was either an arcade stick or a NES controller that was made for that game. Those are the only controllers that were the best for that game itself. But anyway, so now going into memories of the NES or the Nintendo Entertainment System, going in memories and talking about just talking about what made those games so great. I mean, those games were beautiful. You know, the music, the level design was beautiful, even for a 2D game. Because see, the thing is, I'm not going to sit here and bash it, and people think I'm a big contradictor, but I'm not a contradictor. I am not a fan of 2D games, but I don't believe that 2D games should completely phase off the planet. Like, I will sit down and play a 2D game, and I will find enjoyment out of it. I'll sit down and play a 2D game that, you know, as long as the music and the level isn't too frustrating, I can sit down and enjoy it. Like Super Mario Brothers, I love Super Mario Brothers, but I'm going to be honest with you, as someone who is a fan of Mario, I will definitely tell you that it is a very frustrating experience. And it's frustrating because, I mean, the levels is just, it's just frustrating. Like, I mean, you between timing the jumps, between knowing which way to go, knowing the hidden keys if you're trying to 100% the game. I mean, it all depends on what your main mission is through a Super Mario Brothers game. Me, my main mission is to just get to the end of the level and get to the end of the flag. Now, some of you might say, well, you play 3D World religiously. I do play 3D World. That's not a lie. I do. And I do aim to 100% 3D World. 3D World is literally Super Mario World and Super Mario Brothers series. It's literally those games in 3D, which I don't have a problem with because it's 3D. But even if it wasn't 3D, even if it was 2.5D, I'd still play it because I like the new Super Mario Brothers series. I like that. I played that on the DS. I played it on the Wii. I mean, like I said, I'm not against 2D games. I'll sit down and prominently learn and find the key and find a way to win at the end of the game. But I don't want people to get it in their head that, you know, in my personal opinion, I love these things. But like I said, as far as the memories are concerned, and as far as like talking about the NES, I mean the Nintendo Entertainment System era, I don't have that much to say on it other than I remember playing Mario Brothers, Super Mario: The Lost Levels, Super Mario Open World, and that Nintendo Golf game where Mario was like the mascot, and Mario was just, you know, it wasn't Mario Golf at the time. It was just Mario was just the mascot for it. And you know, I mean, I mean, there's a lot of other games too, other Mario games that I'm not naming off the top of my head. But, you know, I mean, I really spent a lot of time playing those games. And I remember even elementary school, I remember when I had asthma really bad. And this is a prominent memory. I mean, now I go to the gym and work out more, but I'm just saying, like, back then there was, when I was in the hospital for being treated for asthma, and I couldn't go back to school, and I was so sick. I mean, I was sick. I mean, I was like, I don't know if this was back in 2001, 2002. And this is like right when we were going into the GameCube era, or had the GameCube era, sorry. And in the hospital, I was like, oh my God, you know, I couldn't, I mean, my asthma was terrible. I mean, I was in the hospital. I felt like I couldn't even remember. Like, it was so bad, and it was so traumatizing. And I know this is like not really a story to share with people, but this is a part of the NES memory. I was in the hospital, and you know, I was so bored out of my mind. All I could do was just lay there and watch TV and take nebulizer and just breathe. And I'm just like, oh man, this is awful. And then, you know, a nurse came in, and they just pulled out the Nintendo Entertainment System, and they said, hey, here you go, maybe this will keep you happy. And man, for the remainder of the time, I was in there playing Super Mario. You know, my mom and dad came and visited me. I mean, I had some friends in elementary school that came and visited me. I mean, you know, it was a real fun time. I mean, you know, me personally, I gotta say, I didn't have the best of childhoods, but I did enjoy the childhood for what it was. And I'll say, like, the Nintendo Entertainment System was definitely a memory that and like I said, that hospital memory was the strongest one, because that was when I played, was it Super Mario Brothers 3? It might have been Mario Brothers 3, or it might have been Super Mario World. I think it was Super Mario World, but I had played it, and I was just having the time of my life, despite how sick and how tired and how defeated I was. And I was like, man, am I gonna die here? Am I never going back to school? I mean, I wasn't, but see, here's the beauty of it. You know, the beauty is, even while I was thinking about that, I mean, I had Mario there to, like, get me through it. Like, I mean, and listen, people laugh at this stuff, and people think that this is like a joke, and I know I don't want to stray away too long, but video games have really gotten me through a lot of hard times in my life. And I'll tell you, Super Mario 64 didn't get me through the hospital, but the NES and SNES era got me through hospital. I mean, it was to the point, and I don't even know how they had an NES in the hospital, because I was told that there was nothing you could do but just sit there and watch, you know, daytime television. And I don't know about you guys, but as a kid, watching daytime television was just like, ugh. I was waiting for the next episode of SpongeBob or something to come on. I was like, no, not this daytime television. But I mean, it was just a prominent time, and it was just being able to sit down and play Super Mario Brothers and Super Mario Open World, just be able to just go through these levels and just feel I mean, I even got to ride on Yoshi when I got to the flagpole. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And before you know it, I took my treatments and my medicine, I ate my food, and next thing you know, I was free to get up. I was free from the hospital. I went back home and I was like, man, I really missed that game. And it's like, out of everything, and I believe it was Super Mario World. I don't want to be lying, but my memory can't call it 100%. But I think it was Super Mario World because it was really colorful, and I know Super Mario World was colorful. Yeah, no, when we got to that, I was like, when I got back home, you know, my parents and like everybody was like, "Way, it's so good to have you back." And I'm like, well, yeah, it's good to be back, but it's like, dang, I missed this game. And so, you know, and people are like, well, so you mean to tell me you were having asthma problems and what got you through that time was this Nintendo Entertainment System? Yeah, it was Mario. It was playing Mario. It was jumping through the levels. It was all I had that made me, you know, that gave me joy. I didn't know anything about a girlfriend. I didn't know anything about having a cell phone at that time that worked. You know, all I had was my games, my family, and my cartoons. So, I mean, you know, obviously, I'm a believer in Jesus Christ. So, obviously, I went to church and I had that. You know, I had my church and I had my Lord and Savior. But also, what I'm saying is, far as like the physical adaptation, the physical things, you know, I didn't have any of the stuff. I mean, like today, I have so many people that I have in my phone number, so many people that I have on Instagram, Snapchat. I mean, between co-workers and people that I went to school with, all the way from elementary to right now. You know, I've just grown in a plethora of people. Now, yeah, I've had some differences with some people here and there, but this tangent isn't about that. This is Mario and the NES, I mean, the Nintendo Entertainment System era really, really, really was a beautiful thing. I mean, the stages, the gameplay, I mean, I was just fascinated by Super Mario World, the colors, the music. I mean, I even remember, even when I sit down and go play the game, I remember like when I boot up the levels, I'm like dun 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 dun. You know, I'm singing it as I'm doing it. So, you know, I mean, you know, the NES and Super Mario World, Super Mario Brothers, the Lost Levels, those games really, really touched me. I mean, okay, let me use another word. Those games really made me feel, they really just brought me some solitude. They brought me some joy. I mean, and some people might say that was sad. Some people might call it depression. But when I look back at it, I don't think it was depression. I don't think people that play video games are depressed. I think that video games are an escape. I think video games are a gateway to a temporary happiness and confinement. I think video games are a way to just preoccupy your mind, but also give you something to enjoy while preoccupying it at the same time. And for me, playing Super Mario, Mario Brothers or Mario World in the hospital was probably one of the greatest things that I could do, because I mean, I had nothing else. It's almost as if that game was like medicine to heal me, and it did. I mean, and people might laugh at that, and people, and listen, you might laugh at me, you might think I'm crazy, you might think that this story is just a bunch of cockamamie bull, but I'm telling you, that time itself was just enough. I mean, that time itself was just, you know, was just beautiful. I mean, I remember playing Mario. I remember playing I remember playing Mario. I remember playing Super Mario World and just jumping through the levels and just being happy, having joy, and just being able to play the game and just feel a sense of satisfaction, feel a sense of accomplishment. And I just didn't need anything else. And I said, okay, I didn't know how long I was going to be in the hospital. Nobody could tell, and nobody could say, nobody could know, you know, and nurses and doctors, they don't say, we'll try to, you know, get you out of here. Back then, when you went in the hospital, they didn't tell you when you were leaving. They told you to just get comfy. Especially the hospitals out here, you know, they were like, you're just gonna get comfy. So, and like I said, there wasn't a COVID-19 or anything like that back then. And that's a whole nother video for another time. We're not gonna talk about that because I have some things I want to say about the whole COVID thing. And if you don't know where I'm going with that, just look up some conspiracy theories, and that's where I'm going with that. But I just, Super Mario World and Super Mario Brothers really just, I mean, that's not the end. It's just the hospital is probably the biggest impact of it, because I mean, it was like icing on the cake, just being able to play it and love it, and just know that, oh my God, this is going to get me through this. This is going to get me through this time. And it did. It did. I mean, it did. I mean, as a kid, I used to get sick. I used to eat chicken noodle soup, stay home, watch Tom and Jerry. I mean, but like I said, things have evolved. Things have changed. And that's where I'm kind of going with this topic too, in this point. Things are evolving. Things are changing. Things are grasping. Things are growing. Things are turning another way and turning into a new direction. And you have to be able to just see things for what they are. You have to be able to see why things make the turns that they make, and do, I mean, and everyone's like, well, life does change and innovate. Yeah, it does. But the fun thing about those memories, and like I said, I don't want to be stuck in the past. I don't want to be stuck back there. But I also want people to acknowledge and know that that was a time period that, I mean, because even when look at it like this, even when the Nintendo 64 came out, people were still playing the Nintendo Entertainment System. I mean, even in the GameCube era, people were still playing the Nintendo Entertainment System. I know me personally, like the summer when the GameCube came out, not 2002, probably like 2003 or 2004, I was playing GameCube and Nintendo Entertainment System. I mean, that whole GameCube era, and like I said, we're not going to talk about the GameCube era. This video is about Nintendo Entertainment System and Nintendo 64. But I just wanted to say that playing the GameCube and rolling through that era, we still went back to that, because when I loaded up Super Mario World again, and then I loaded it up again on the Wii, and then I loaded it up again on the Nintendo Switch, I'm like, man, this thing really took me back to a time of being into the hospital, back to a time where I used to travel to the summertime and go see friends and family. And I mean, oh my God, going to see friends and family back in that time, when they would come over, we'd play Mario Kart on the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. We'd play oh my God, they bring their friends over, and I traveled to like Michigan, I traveled to like Philadelphia, I traveled to New Jersey, and I had friends and family that would come over, and they would bring their friends, and everybody would just get around and play the NES, and I mean, it's just a good time. And those games had charm, those games had a touch, those games had creativity. And here's my positive, or my 2 cents about the Nintendo Entertainment System. Even though most of those games were not 3D, I will definitely, or most of the game, well, even though that wasn't a 3D era, I will say that those games had charm. Those games had creativity. Every level in Super Mario World, I feel like, was thought out to be a challenge. Not to be over the top difficult, but difficult enough to where you have to try, you have to focus, you have to think. And I tell people, it takes a lot of skill to play an old Mario game. It does. It takes a lot of skill to play, because me personally, I feel like the newer the Mario game, the lesser the skill. Which, I mean, we'll talk about that in a second here when we get to the Nintendo 64, because I do kind of want to move on. Like I said, I don't want this video to reach an hour, so I'm going to have to speed up a little bit. But, I mean, even with... It's like the further you go with Mario games, the lesser the skill. But my thing is, as long as the game is just creative, fun, and beautiful, that's all I need the game to be. Like, Nintendo has never meant to be the top dog and the top notch. Now, I will say, to us as fans, we put them up there because we love what they have given us. But Nintendo is not about making super intense hardware and making the powerfulest, the Nintendo Switch doesn't need to be equivalent to an Xbox, I mean a super PC. That's not what Nintendo's purpose is. Their purpose is to create good content versus good quality. Basically, I'm sorry, good quantity. No, good quality versus good quantity. So what do I mean by that? Well, I mean, and everybody's like, well, why are you talking about the Nintendo Switch? I'm talking about the Nintendo Switch because I'm considering the Switch as a universal console. It is universal because it can play just about every generation up to this point. So when I'm referring to the Switch, I'm referring to everything that involves the Switch, which includes retro. But Nintendo does need to do better. Nintendo needs to make a much more, not the console doesn't need to be, like I said, a super PC, but it definitely needs to be more powerful to the point where the console can hold way more games, or its whole library of games, and people can pay a subscription for it and all that other stuff to do what they want to do. So the Switch does need to be more powerful, but this isn't about the Switch right now. But we are going to refer to the Switch too, because like I said, I don't want us to just live in the past. So when playing the Nintendo Entertainment System again, I'm going to be honest with you, it frustrates me because I just don't see the point in playing the Nintendo Entertainment System no more. Me personally, there's so many games that have come out since the Nintendo 64 to right now, to where I don't even see why you would want to go back to the Nintendo Entertainment System unless you just want to feel nostalgia. And some of you could say the same thing about Super Mario 64. Why would you want to go back to 64 if you've got Sunshine, you've got Galaxy? You said it yourself. Galaxy 2 is your favorite Mario game. Why would you go back? You got Odyssey, you got Bowser's Fury. Well, we'll get to that in a moment here. But what I'll say most of all about the memories is just getting together with people and playing the Nintendo Entertainment System, getting together with a group, with friends and family, getting together with people to play the game, because Nintendo has always been good at bringing people together. And like I said about that story in the hospital when I had asthma and I was there for I don't know how long. I mean, you guys might think this is dramatic, but I'm telling you, it felt like I was going to be there forever. I didn't feel like I was ever going to get out of the hospital. I didn't feel like I was ever going to be free. And to just have something like that, because like I said, I didn't have a cell phone back then. I didn't have the friends that I had. All I had was my family. Like I said, my family, my relationship with my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, my video games, and that's it. I didn't have anything else. Back in elementary school days, you didn't hand out your phone numbers. I didn't start the phone number thing until it was like middle school. Like that was we talking now like 2006, 2007. But what came along then? Anime, Toonami, and we're not gonna talk about that because this rant isn't about that. But I'm just saying, like, that Nintendo Entertainment System era was just prominent. It was just beautiful. It just brought people around. It just brought people together. And for somebody like me who does not prefer 2D games, because let's put the facts out here now. Nintendo 3D games sell more than 2D games. You can look at the statistics. Kirby and the Forgotten Land has probably sold way more than any 2D Kirby game. And some people say, well, no, that's not true. Go look at the statistics. Now, the new Kirby game that's coming out next month might beat it in sales, but we're not there yet. To this point, to this day, to this conversation right here, to this point, I can say that 3D games sell better than 2D games. But again, there was nothing like the Nintendo Entertainment System during that era. There was nothing like the Nintendo Entertainment System during that time, during that era, there was nothing like that. It was unique in its own way, and that's what made Nintendo so beautiful. That's what made Nintendo so prominent. And Mario was just this guy that went on an adventure to save the princess, jumping through the castles, jumping through the levels, jumping on Koopa Troopas and Goombas, grabbing the shells, Tanuki Mario. Oh, and by the way, it's because of Super Mario Brothers that Tanuki Mario is my favorite form of Mario. I'm not going to go into forms and which one is more powerful or more better than the other, because that has nothing to do with this video. But I will definitely say between Rainbow Mario and Starman Mario, those two are my favorite. But I like Fire, I like Ice, I like the Cappy thing that Cappy can take over. I don't want Cappy to continue. I want them to go back to more like Mario grabbed the mushroom and he gets the power. I want that. But I'm just saying, like, out of all his abilities and powers and things that he's gained through all his games, Tanuki is my favorite. Tanuki is my favorite because Mario can literally run, fly, float in the air. He can spin around. I mean, Mario with the cape is cool too. I mean, I ain't got no problem with Cape Mario. I mean, Mario don't need the cape though. I think that's, well, the developers were going for something right there. Super Mario, so they had to get the cape. I mean, anything that has super, I feel like should have a cape, but that's just my personal opinion. Because look at Batman. Batman, they don't call him Super Batman. He's just Batman. But look at Superman. He's got a cape. So I mean, I'm just saying, it's a cape is something that represents a superhero. Or some villains have capes too. I mean, Mario, where I'm going with that is Mario just deserves a cape. But we're not going to go on that. We're not going to go on a tangent on that. So, ending with the Nintendo Entertainment System, because like I said, I don't have too many memories to talk about that other than the hospital and being around family. Outside of that I just mentioned a few minutes ago. There's not much else I really can say I was just, in love with a Nintendo Entertainment System. I mean, because somebody like me, I came from playing like Pac-Man. I came from playing Pac-Man, Atari. I came from playing those things. So those kind of gave me a start, but I was too young to remember them. So I remember more of Nintendo than any of those other companies and those other franchises. So Nintendo Entertainment System, Mario really has gotten me through hospital. Mario has gotten me through. Mario even got me through school. I mean, literally every day after school, after recess, I would look forward to coming home and playing the game. It was more Nintendo 64 because at the time, now we're going into elementary school. Because I mean, my daycare was more like the NES era, but like Nintendo 64 too, but now we're talking Nintendo 64 into like GameCube. Because see, me, I was like my dad, and my dad really was. He was late on a lot of games. He was late on the GameCube. He was late on the 64. We got the Wii on time. We got the Wii U on time. But I mean, like I said, but my dad got me a PlayStation 2. Man, he was on time with that. I remember that era. We're not gonna talk about PlayStation 2. This is not about PlayStation 2. We will go down that memory later. Okay. We will go down PlayStation 2 later. But yeah, no, the NES and the Nintendo Entertainment System really just had a hook for me, and it just, me personally, I loved that era. I mean, I loved that time frame. I mean, do I ever want to go back to that time frame? No. What could they do to be? What could they do? What could be something new that they could do for that game? And I listed some games already, so I'm gonna go ahead and mark that off. So I guess the next big point I'm going to is, what could they do for some of those games? Well, what do you mean, what could they do? Like, how could they bring them back in a new way? Well, they kind of already did with Super Mario 3D World. I mean, that's basically Super Mario World and Super Mario Brothers. That's basically all those games in 3D. That's basically what that is. So they kind of already did. I guess the next big thing is, what could they do to go further than that? I mean, they could do open world. I don't know how Mario would fit in an open world. Or instead of talking open world, let's just take a couple steps back and let's just do the idea I thought of yesterday when I was making up notes for this. Donkey Kong, the first Donkey Kong game where Mario was featured in it. Why not take that game and make it 3D? And some people say, well, that's crazy. Why would they make a 3D or even a 2.5D version of that game? There's just no need for that. Well, how about like a Super Smash Brothers 2.5D but or 3D, but instead, I mean, I don't know how the story would work. Nintendo would have to, I don't get paid to sit down and brainstorm this, but Nintendo would make it. This is my thing. I wouldn't mind if they made it 3D. I would want them to do where like Mario's climbing up a 3D ladder, and you can literally like go, in front of it or behind it. You can jump around. You can actually jump from platform to platform. I mean, the whole Donkey Kong versus Mario thing is kind of out of date. They don't have a battle or a rivalry, I should say, anymore. But I mean, it's definitely how Nintendo and how these things started. So I think that like they should take that formula, but except make it 3D, and let Mario kind of just run around, jump from crane to crane, but just be more creative with it. Like just expand it. Like I don't know, do something where like the first level is like an arcade, like the Donkey Kong game, and then the next level is like Metro Kingdom. So Mario's jumping from crane to crane. Mario's grabbing stars. Mario's grabbing the barrels. He's throwing the barrels. I mean, just a real good throwback. I mean, what would he do? I mean, I guess you could say Mario could collect a certain number of coins in each level. I guess collect red coins. I don't know if you still want to do power stars. I don't know if that would be necessary for a game that didn't have power stars. But, just different things they could do to innovate the game and just bring it back in 3D. And I think that would be something new and creative. I don't know how far it would go. I mean, maybe we could get to a point where Mario actually fights Donkey Kong. So when I say fight, I don't mean like jumping over barrels and throwing barrels at him. I mean like that, and possibly, I don't know, maybe hitting him with like an uppercut, or I don't know, using a power up to help him fight. Because you have to modernize it. I mean, you just can't bring that kind of game back in 3D and just expect it to just work. You got to modernize it to today's standards. Or even Odyssey. You could do it. You could do Mario versus Donkey Kong in Odyssey graphics. I'll take that and be happy. I mean, like I said, in the original game, they didn't actually fight each other. It was just kind of Mario just traveled through the level. You completed the level. That's how you beat Donkey Kong. Well, it's the same thing with how I see what's that game? How I see. I done lost my train of thought. It's how I see like Super Mario Brothers. They took Super Mario Brothers and made the new Super Mario Brothers. Remember that came out on the DS and the Wii? So, I mean, they innovated that, and it's like, okay, well, what can they do beyond that? Me personally, I don't really know what else you could do beyond that, except make the graphics look different and just have different stages and different levels. But I just think that I just think you keep making these 2D games, and there's just no need to make 2D no more. Like, just make a 3D game and have 2D levels in it. But you don't need to have a full-on 2D game anymore. I mean, you can do it if you want to. I'm not trying to like discourage Nintendo completely, but I just don't see the point in doing it, because predominantly 3D games sell better than 2D games. So why would you waste your time making a 2D game when you could just make a 3D game and it would sell and you could be loaded with money? But I get it. They want to satisfy retro fans. They want to satisfy people from a previous era. They want to satisfy people who grew up with that stuff. So the Super Mario 3D World, I mean, that's probably the newest thing you could do to a 2D series, is make it 3D. That's probably the newest thing that you could do, because I just don't see. I mean, Mario Maker 1 and 2 is okay. I mean, being able to let people create the stages and make them how they want to make them, yeah, that's fine. That something like that is okay, because that involves other people, that innovates other people to be creative and play a game. Again, Nintendo has always been prominent about bringing people together. So in its own right, that is a good idea. But I mean, they just have to sit down and think of something else, you know. I mean, if anything, maybe let Mario cross over in Donkey Kong Country. I mean, we have, and everybody's like, you keep talking about Donkey Kong. Well, yeah, I talk about Donkey Kong because Donkey Kong, in a sense, is still part of Mario's universe. He's like, Donkey Kong has his own universe, but he's still a part of Mario. He still is involved with Mario, like Luigi. Luigi has his own universe, Luigi's Mansion. Luigi's got his own thing going for him, but he's still in the Mario universe. Same thing with Yoshi. He's still in the Mario universe. Wario, Waluigi, they're still in the Mario universe. So, and that's why Donkey Kong, that's why Donkey Kong is a playable character in Mario Party, because it's like, without Donkey Kong, we wouldn't have Mario. So, I mean, and it's really hard to tell what they could do. I mean, besides making another 2D game, I just don't see what else they could do to innovate the 2D Mario. Because again, I don't think you need to make another 2D game. I just think you should just make 3D games from here and just put 2D levels in there. Unless you're going to feature Mario and cross him over with some other 2D people, like Metroid, you could have Super Mario DLC. Donkey Kong, like I said, Donkey Kong Country or Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze or the next big Donkey Kong game that you're gonna make. Let Mario be playable. I mean, even in the movie, Mario meets Donkey Kong. Mario sees Donkey Kong, and I gotta talk about the movie. I'm gonna just say this. I'm gonna try to say this for the end because we got to get on to Super Mario 64. So unfortunately, we will have to make a part two of a part. We'll have to make a part one of part two. You know, me personally, I mean, I don't like that Mario jumps up and when he charges at Donkey Kong, and I know if you've all seen the trailer for the Super Mario movie, he jumps up and Donkey Kong grabs his face, throws him down. His face lands in Donkey Kong's hand. Donkey Kong slams him down, and Donkey Kong just starts wailing on him. And it's just like, what? It's like, what? It's like, come on. Mario should have been able to just, I mean, I get it. This is supposed to be for comedic relief. I get it. It's supposed to just be cool, but it's like, and you can see the little cranes that Mario jumps on from Donkey Kong, you know, the original Donkey Kong game. And it's like, but why is he just wailing on Mario? Why is he just like, just, I'm literally, Donkey Kong uses his hand, slams him down, and then just starts mollywopping him. And it's just like, this is so embarrassing. This is not our hero. This is not, and I know I said we were going to talk about the NES and Nintendo 64, but I have to throw this in here. Because I've already talked about what new things they could do, and like I said, my whole opinion on what they can do new, what they could do is just make 2D games into 3D games. But I mean, literally, he's just wailing on Mario. I mean, Donkey Kong is literally just, I mean, I'm talking about, like, I don't know if you guys seen the trailer. Seen the trailer, and it's just like, our hero, our main hero, the guy that has fought Bowser, rid on Yoshi, Wigglers, has fought King Babam. I mean, what? Chain Chomps. The man that can fight a Bowser 5 times his size is getting wailed on by this. Where's Cappy? I don't even want Cappy to be in the movie. I don't even. And let me say this, because I know we're running out of time because we're approaching an hour now. Cappy does not need to exist. I am tired of the Cappy. I don't want to see Cappy no more. Cappy needs to go. But for the sake of the movie, where is Cappy? Cappy should have came in and just said, "Wapow!" like smack Donkey Kong in the face or something. Like, what? And I get it. Donkey Kong is a gorilla. Mario is a human. I get it. No human being would be dumb enough to go and fight a gorilla. I get that. I understand that logic. But we don't live in that kind of logic when it comes to Nintendo. In the Nintendo world, these characters have power-ups. These characters have abilities. These characters have speed and strength and agility of their own. And to me, it just seems like in this movie, they're trying to make Mario as some terrible hero that has to train to become the warrior but he shouldn't have to do that. Mario should already have the skills and assets he needs, the speed, the strength, and the agility. He should have enough. I'm not saying he needs to be Superman, but he should have enough to where he can hold his own against a gorilla. I'm not telling Mario to get in the boxing ring with a gorilla and expect him to come out on top. I'm not asking for anything unrealistic. But that right there, that scene, that trailer is unrealistic when you think about all the power-ups Mario has. Metal Mario, Invisible Cap, Wing Cap, Starman, Rainbow Mario, Mega Mushroom. What? Mario couldn't get a Mega Mushroom? Cappy, Lumas, Flood. It just goes on and on and on. But the movie looks great. I'm excited for the movie. I am. I'm not gonna lie. I am excited for the Super Mario movie. But to end out the Nintendo Entertainment System part, yeah, no, I don't. Outside of that, I don't think that there is anything else that we could do for the Nintendo Entertainment System. I don't think that there's anything else we could change, anything else we could add, duplicate. You know, and there's nothing else we can do to flip the Nintendo Entertainment System. I think we've done all that we can do for that era. But like I said, the picture games, the Mario Tetris, because the Dr. Mario, we didn't even talk about Dr. Mario. And I mean, like I said, that's third party. And you know, that's not really mainline Mario, but even Dr. Mario has his own story himself. But every character has their own lore and story to them. But I just, you know, the NES and the Nintendo Entertainment System, I think, is a prominent era. And I feel like if they're going to come back and revive some games, I think they should revive some games in a different way. Like, maybe let Dr. Mario have his own 3D open world adventure. I mean, everybody's like, that sounds crazy. But it's crazy, but it's not. Because, I mean, Mario has so many different forms and so many different characters. I mean, Mario just, it makes sense to put him in those places. You know, or like the Tetris games, like 3D Tetris. So now you got to literally have Tetris, and it's a 3D world Tetris. And you got to kind of like, I don't know, kick the blocks or punch the blocks or something. I don't know. Just, you know, Nintendo gets paid to do this. They can sit down and create this. But for the NES and the SNES era, like I said, I don't have that many memories to talk about, other than, like I mentioned earlier, the hospital, getting together with friends and traveling over the summer. But yeah, I think that what they could do for the future Mario, because again, we don't want to talk about just the past and live in the past. We want to talk about, and I know we're coming to the end of this video. So in the next video, we will go into a deep dive of Super Mario 64. I was planning on doing that this video, but the Nintendo Entertainment System kind of took over. But wait till we get to Nintendo 64. That video is gonna be like 2 hours long. No, no, I'm kidding. That's not gonna be 2 hours long. I hope not. I hope not. But no, seriously. I just, you know, and the reason why we went back and we talked about Mario Brothers and open world, and I mean Super Mario World and the lost levels and all that stuff on the Nintendo Entertainment System is because where's Mario gonna go? You know, what is, and this is something that I'm going to ask at the end of every video, and people can put their comments or whatever. And this is how you know we're at the end of the video. What is the future for Mario? You know, what are we going to do to get back to that time that when we first loaded up Super Mario Brothers or Super Mario World, we were just excited and we were just happy to play the game? When are we going to get back to that time? When are we going to get back to a game? Because see, the thing is, even though I love a good 3D game, I like a good 2D game as long as it's something I can relate to, jam to, and get down to. As in, like, the good music, okay bosses, you know, a good little travel and search. But what made that console beautiful was we had no idea what was coming. It was just creative and beautiful, and it just had a spark to it. It just, you know, I said this yesterday, and people laughed at me, but Mario was like Michael Jackson. And people say, what? Michael Jackson was a human. Mario was a fictional character. Well, what I'm saying is Mario had the charm like Michael Jackson. He had that aesthetic, that aura, that beauty to him. And even in just the 2D games, we haven't even started talking about the 3D adventure yet. And I mean, it was just beautiful. I mean, even Mario Kart for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System was beautiful. A beautiful game. You just got finished playing Super Mario World, Super Mario Brothers. You see Yoshi, Luigi, Toads. And you mean to tell me I can use these characters and drive and throw stuff at each other on an obstacle course? Oh, that was innovative. Now, something creative that they could do is they could take, I mean, I don't see the point of letting Mario Kart characters walk around, but they could do something like that. Or Super Smash Brothers. They could create an open world Super Smash Brothers. And I know that's a lot to do, but do you know how great that game would be? I mean, obviously you gotta click on your battles, but I mean, just be able to free roam with, just look at all the characters you got in Smash Brothers. Imagine if you could free roam with them characters. And I'm not talking about Subspace Emissary. I'm talking about a full 3D roaming. So, but enough with the Nintendo Entertainment System. So yeah, the Nintendo Entertainment System really just, it brought a lot of memories. And I think going further in the future, I think we could get another, because I mean, we are supposed to be getting another 2D Mario game that's supposed to be brand new. We're supposed to hear something about it, I guess, in the February Direct or during E3 is when we'll know, I guess, something. I don't know. But we're supposed to get a new Mario game soon. And it's 2D, which I'm not excited 100% about. But who knows? Maybe this game will excite me. Maybe this game will design and the style will just catch me off guard, and maybe it'll be something that we haven't seen in a while. You know, I mean, maybe it'll just be something that will innovate Mario again, and it'll just bring back that 2D era. But that's just it, though. I don't want you to just bring back the NES era. I want you to capitalize on the 3D era. You made a 3D world because you know 3D sells. You knew that game was going to sell. You knew it was. You knew from the minute, Miyamoto knew from the minute, and Nintendo knew the minute they started work on that project, that game was going to be a hit, a Mario hit. And it is. Super Mario 3D World is a hit. It's a hit. It's a prominent hit. You know, it's not like Castlevania. Now, if we had Castlevania and Castlevania came back with a 2D, I'm like, all right, cool. Another 2D Castlevania. All right, cool. We need a 3D Castlevania, but 2D will work. 2D will slide through. 2D will get us through. So I end the NES and Nintendo Entertainment part with, I had lots of memories. Beautiful time zone. You know, the music was great. The stages were great. All the Mario games, I loved them all. I mean, I still go back and play it from time to time. Not like I played Nintendo 64, but you know, I love that era and the memories. And like I said about that hospital story, you got to remember, even though Super Mario 64 was my favorite one, Super Mario 64 didn't get me through hard times. Super Mario 64 got me through school and preoccupied me, but that Nintendo Entertainment System got me through a hospitalization. It got me through a time of, You could say almost depression, because I mean, I'm telling you, there is nothing, and let me just say this. There is nothing like being alone and having nothing to do. Literally nothing to do. Because it'll drive you insane. I'm to a point where I can't sit in the house. I have to get out of the house every day. Even if I just go outside and walk and talk to my neighbors, I just cannot be in the house all day long every day. Now, at nighttime, yeah, I could stay up all night long and play the game. Oh, well, not all night. I could stay up to about 2, maybe 3, maybe 4 and play the game. But that's that's nighttime. I'm talking about during the daytime when stuff is going on. But Mario has always been that good distraction. And I will never forget the Nintendo Entertainment System era. I will never forget that era, because I will never forget that hospitalization where I had really bad asthma and all I had was Super Mario World to get me through the hard time. And I will never forget traveling with family and friends, you know, back in the day, and they bringing their friends over and they bringing their family over, and we all playing Mario World and we playing Mario Kart on a Nintendo Entertainment System. We playing Mario Kart. We playing Mario Kart, getting together. We didn't have Smash Brothers yet. And now, before I end this video, because I know we've talked long enough today, I just want to say I'm glad we got through the Nintendo Entertainment System. Like I said, I don't have that much to talk about with that console. The next time I do this video, which will be soon, I don't know when the next time I'll have another rant. We're actually going to talk about Super Mario 64. And I have a lot to say about Super Mario 64. We're not going to talk about that. We're not going to do that now. But I have a lot to say. But yeah, I hope I tied everything in what I was talking about, where, you know, we talk about where Mario is, where Mario was, where he is, and where he's going. What's the plans? What's the future? What's the speculation? And again, you know, as far as the Nintendo Entertainment System is concerned, I don't see a resurrection of that whole console being something, but I definitely see that era being, I see that era doing something in the near future. So let's hope whatever the next, like I said, the Nintendo Switch 2 or the Super Nintendo Switch or the Switch Pro, whatever y'all want to call it, let's hope the next console will be a lot more powerful and Nintendo can pump out some really good, hopefully Nintendo can pump out some good 2D and 3D games if you really want to go there with it. But for me, I don't even think they need to make another 2D Mario. I think that if they just add DLC to the Super Mario Brothers series or re-release some DS games, I think that'd be good enough. But anyway, yeah, no, I just, and like I said, I want to end the video with this, and then I promise I'm done. I'm going to end this video, like I'm going to hit end, because this is going on for 1 hour and 9 minutes. A lot of us have had nostalgia. A lot of us have had, you know, different opinions about, a lot of us have had different opinions about where, you know, we have come and where we have gone. And I just want people to know that in this era and in this time that where we are, you know, I think that there's still hope for Mario. I think that there's still hope for the 3D and 2D adventures. I think that Mario really has a lot going for him, because when you just dive back in the past and you just look at how beautiful the games were back then, when you dive back in the past and look at how creative they were, you just go, man, what happened today? What happened with the future? What happened with this now? So, you know, the point of me going through this and mentioning this is to remind people that this Super Mario rant, yes, this is me talking a lot about Mario. Yes, it is. But it's also going down memory lane. It's also talking about what made these games beautiful. It's also talking about why we as Mario fans look forward to the next Mario game. We look forward to the adventure. We look forward to the games. We look forward to what he can do. We want to be able to travel through Jolly Lagoon. We want to be able to jump through Dire Docks. We want to be able to, jump through the castle walls again, jump through the painting, give the castle more power. We want to be able to travel in the Odyssey, travel through the galaxy. We want to be able to just... Mario has always been innovative, and the key thing and the heart of Mario has always been discovery. It's always been discovery. It's always been finding and discovering. And that first time when you enter those stages, that first time when you play the game, you just think, oh my God, this is beautiful. This open land, this stage, Mario can jump around, he can walk. Mario can go everywhere. Mario can do the stuff he wants to do. The music, the stages, everything about Mario is just amazing. The ship, the rockets, everything, the cannons, everything. Everything about Mario is just great. And for a game that was built, on a 3D, but wasn't all the way open world, it still did well. It still did predominantly. So I just want to say this, and then I'm done. I just want to say that the future of Mario does look bright, and it can be bright. But you have to remain optimistic. You can't look at a flop like Super Mario Odyssey and say, okay, this is the end. This is where Mario ends. You have to be optimistic, because they did a flop with Super Mario Odyssey. But look what they did after that. They gave us 3D World. And if you ask me, that game is closer to a 3D adventure than Odyssey was. That game gave me more of what that game gave me, that feeling again when I was in the hospital with no hope, no desire, no passion. A time with no friends, a time with no people in your life. A time where you just went to school and all you had to do was just watch cartoons and play video games. That game gave me that time. Now, don't get me wrong, 3D World frustrates me. 3D World, 64, NES, them games frustrate me. Sunshine, them games frustrate me. But it was solitude. It was a time. It was a time that people just enjoyed. It was a time that people just got together and played Mario. A family would come over just to watch me play Super Mario 64, because that's how much I played that game. That's how much I knew those levels. That's how much I knew the stars. Going up Bowser's Castle, traveling up through all the tiers. I don't know if any of you know this, but going up through Bowser's lair, going up through the castle, going through all the levels, it was beautiful. Every time Mario jumped in a painting and landed in the world, it was amazing. Every time I loaded up Super Mario Brothers and we got to the flagpole and you heard the music, it was beautiful. Every time Mario got a power-up, every time you got Tanuki, every time you hit a box, every time Mario landed with something, it was just beautiful. And I'm just asking for that again. I'm asking for that one more time. I'm asking for Nintendo to make a Mario game that'll just blow my mind. That'll just take me out of this. Well, okay, that'll just knock my socks off. That's what I'm looking for again. But I want the heart of the game to be discovery. And that's one thing, even though I don't prefer Super Mario Odyssey, I will say Super Mario Odyssey does discovery well. Because that's what Super Mario 64 is. Super Mario 64 is mystery and discovery. Odyssey was more about discovery than mystery. But 64 got the formula right. 64 had prominent music. 64 got the formula of 3D gaming correct. So whatever this next 3D Mario game is, Super Mario Odyssey 2, Bowser's Fury, Open World Mario, I just hope that you can remember to just give me the joy that I had when playing the NES, playing Super Mario World, riding on Yoshi. Because that is the heart of Mario. The characters, the music, the stages. It needs to feel like a Mario game. It needs to feel like Nintendo is making Mario again. So I'll leave you all with that. Thank you for tuning into the stream, and hopefully next time we will talk about Super Mario 64. Yeah, I think that's the end of the video. If you guys have any comments, please leave them in the comment section below. I don't expect these videos to be big and viral. This is just my thoughts and my personal opinions and how I feel about it. And we'll try to talk about the movie some more too next time. Until then, stay Super Mario, stay golden. When's the next time we're going to do this? I don't know. I have no idea, guys. Probably not for another month. Yeah, I know. It took a lot out of me to do this today. I got laundry to do. I got to go do some laundry and do some dishes. So, yeah. So, oh, Lord. Yeah. So, all right, guys. I'm gone for real. See ya. Peace.